You're good.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today at TGR Exotics. We're live on the Wildside. Today's conversation is llamas. So we have goats in here with us today too, but right here in front of me I have Precious, who is a female llama. You can see all the dirt around her. She came over here because this is her dust bath. She likes to roll around in the dirt. So she came over here where all her other friends are in the grass. Maybe she'll get up and move. So you can see all her hair. So llamas are in the same family as camelids, or camels or camelids. So there's camels, llamas, alpacas, vicuna, guanaco. Those are all in the same family. She does have her ears back, and typically you would think ears back means spitting, but for her, that's just what she does. She likes her ears back. Her beautiful hair, and I really don't like to call it wool. It's more fiber or like hair, because llamas, unlike sheep, do not have lanolin in their fiber or their wool. So therefore, if you are allergic to, let's say, a wool sweater, sheep sweater, you would not be allergic to a llama or alpaca sweater. They're super fine. There's no oils in them. They don't even smell like a lamb when it gets wet. But their hair is super soft. If she get up, you can see more of her characteristics. She has beautiful long eyelashes, so the eyelashes on them help them, just like camels, help keep the dust and dirt out of their eyes. You can kind of see her teeth sticking out right there. If Nick can come around, let's see, you can kind of see her gums right here in the middle. So they are grazers, so they're just like cows. And the goats by us here, they don't have teeth up in the front top. They have in the rear, they have teeth on top, molars and such, but they don't have them in the front. So they clip your grass. They're like lawnmowers. So these guys have 3 compartments, 3 stomachs, unlike cows that have 4. So to digest their food, it has to move through the compartments. One of them is the rumen, and that's where you see like cows and goats. They also chew a cud, so that's part of how they digest their food. So they have to eat the hay or the grass. They're total vegetarians, herbivores. They might eat, like she likes a little bit of apple or sweet potato, but they're not going to eat any type of meat at all. So the process in their digestion is eating it, bringing up that cud, chewing it again, and swallowing it back down to help it digest. Llamas, she's not a really tall llama. Her face stands about, I don't know, she's probably 5'5" at the face. She's probably about 200 pounds. Llamas range anywhere from, let's say, 200 to, we've had them over 600 pounds. They were really tall llamas. So a female here, she's about 15 years old. They can live to be, again, anywhere from 15 as old as 30 years old. The oldest one we've ever had here has been 25, and it was a male a couple years ago. These guys, their gestation, or how long they're pregnant, is almost a year, 350 days. So you can see she's not that tall. Their gestation's about 350 days, almost a year. They would have one baby. A baby llama is called a cria, C-R-I-A, and they would have one. There is no breeding season for llamas. Llama can have a baby any time of year, so we keep our males and females separated because you wouldn't want to have a baby in the heat of the summer or in the middle of the winter either.
Thank you, Abby, for joining in. Joel as well. So Joel had a question. How do they get along with the goats?
They get along fine with the goats. Sometimes there are food sharing issues. So the llamas will spit at the goats sometimes. So llamas do spit. They're not going to spit at us. They'll spit at each other. They'll spit at other animals. And it's usually over domination of food or whatnot, whether it be grain or grass or what. any of that. But they get along fine with them. They sleep by each other. We do have pigs out here. We have potbellies and cooney pigs out here, and they all get along fine.
Ooh, here's a good question from Emily. Thank you, Emily, for tuning in. What is the difference between a llama and an alpaca?
Okay, llamas and alpacas, big size difference. So alpacas are probably about half the size of a llama. They're not this tall. In comparison, an alpaca would probably be half the size of what she is. The main function of alpaca is for their fiber. Their hair is unbelievable. So the people that have those usually have them because they want to sell their fiber for, clothing or rugs, or just people who like to knit, the yarn and all that stuff. Their ears are shaped differently. There's a bunch of different just body things that are different. Now the hair on her, this is Precious again, and she's 15. Her hair isn't your typical llama hair. See, it's super stringy. So we would call that like a Surrey alpaca. There's two different kinds of alpacas, a Surrey, which is the stringy kind, and a Wakaya, which is the fluff ball like poodle kind. So these are like Surrey. So you would never brush this hair out. Those are dreads that start from the torso and come out. So like when we used to show the llamas, if she was in a class, she would be in a class with the same type of hair fiber as the other llamas in her class, other females, same age, same hair. And they look at the lock structure of how that hair grows out from, let's say, the shoulder, the center, and then the rear.
So this kind of goes along with, we just got a question from Judy. She's wondering if they shed.
They do not shed. Now you can see some dry hair hanging down, so you would have to shear these guys. Now ours go to Colorado every May, and they come back in November, and they've done this forever. We do not have a place there. There is a place called Cardinal Oaks Llamas that their business is boarding llamas for the summer. So they usually get around 250 llamas from Texas that come up to their property and stay for the summer. Llamas have no way to release heat. They don't sweat, they don't pant. Like you'll see equine, like the donkeys and horses, they sweat. She does not sweat. So they just overheat basically. So by them going over to Cardinal Oaks Llamas, they're about at 8,000 feet for the summer. When we get there, there's still snow on the ground. When we pick them up in November, they get lots of snow. So if we were going to shear them, that's something we would have to do in November when we pick them up. But with this stringy type of fiber, it's a single coat. And so let's say when it rains, the water would go all the way to the skin. And like if it was windy, they would feel it all. It's not a double coat. Like there's light wool llamas, medium wool llamas, heavy wool llamas, and then the Surrey like she is.
Yes, we have a question from Annabelle. Thank you, Annabelle, for watching. She's wondering, how fast do they run?
Ooh, good question. I'm going to say they could probably run a good 20, 25 miles an hour at a top speed and stop. Because I will say our males here, they do chase each other. They chase and scream at each other all the time. And they get some pretty fast speed. So it's like a sprint, and then it's not a sustained running.
All right, so we have a question from Denise. Do you have any babies?
No, we do not have any baby llamas. Right now we have 5 females and 4 males, but we do not have any babies. So these guys love grass. So they would have originated in the Andes, really originated. Back in the day, like 40,000 years ago, these guys actually originated in the United States. And when things started moving and shifting, all the llamas and alpacas went south to South America, where you had the camels who went across the Bering Strait and went over. So you have the Bactrian, which is the 2-hump that live more in a colder climate, and then the dromedary, which is more of your desert. So they all kind of went their way. So these guys, you would find them in South America, like Argentina, Peru, Bolivia, and they don't live in a really high altitude. It'd be more like 5,000-6,000 feet. They are a low protein animal, so they can eat the scrub, bush and grass and survive. They don't need lots of water either. So here they would just need the grass, which they have a lot right now, and also some good hay.
So we have a question from Joelle. Thank you for tuning in. Do they have any enrichment?
Enrichment. Oh, we are their enrichment. I'm gonna say, well, one, they do like some of the trees. So a lot of the trees are, let's say, blooming out right now. So the pecan trees, the oak trees, they will nibble on it some. They love the dust bath where we first started. That would be enrichment. They're not about scent or anything. They like I said, the apple or the sweet potato, but they're not gonna go, if we put a ball on the ground or a barrel like a horse might be interested in, they're not really interested in that.
So thank you, Rebecca, for tuning in. She's wondering, why are they so hairy? What is up with that?
Well, so we do not shear them because they go to Colorado, and these are Surrey llamas. So their hair is super long. This is how it would naturally grow. I mean, it would go all the way to the ground, but they do get trimmed up in the summertime when they go to Colorado. They trim that center part between their front and back legs, like their belly area, to give us a little more airflow, because it could get in the 70s to 80s during the day up in the mountains, but it gets really cold at night, so they need all that hair left on them.
So we have another question from Judy. Do they have one baby at a time?
Yes, they have one baby at a time. Gestation is about a year. It's about 350 days is gestation for a llama. They would have one baby. Babies run around 35, 35 pounds is a baby. And they are usually up and running within 30 minutes, because you have to figure it in the wild. So llamas, like our llamas here, when they had babies, they would always have them before 10 o'clock, first thing in the morning, because you imagine if you're up at a high altitude, you would want to have your baby first thing in the morning, because when they come out, obviously they're wet. And so they have to dry and be totally dry before the sun starts going down. Otherwise, they would get cold.
Thank you for tuning in, Justin. They are not. She might look smelly, but she's not.
They have no odor.
Nah, none.
They don't have any odor, and even their poop. I don't even know where any llama poop is around here. So their poop, we might find some around here. We call them magical beans or llama beans, and there is really no smell to their poo either. And their poo is, like I say, truly magical. I was reading more about it. My son did a science project on it, as far as like the super high in nitrogen, but it doesn't burn. It's very soluble. So like on your rose bushes, you don't even have to wait for it to compost. This stuff, you can just throw it on your plants, and they're unbelievable. So if anyone wants any llama poo at any time, we will be more than happy to give you some.
Oh yeah. So Annabelle has another question. She is wondering, do they get baths?
No, they do not enjoy for us to bathe them. Now they're out, their bath would be on a rainy day, like lately we've had rain showers and it's been warm out. The llamas don't mind that. If it's cold out, they don't really like being cold and wet, but nature takes care of it. We don't brush them or bathe them.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Brenda and Dakota, for tuning in. Dakota wants to know, how old can they live?
They can live 25 to 30 years.
Whew. Thank you, Jennifer, for watching.
And their feet are unusual too. So like a lot of people, like horses or donkeys, equine, they have hoofs. Llamas have soft padded feet. I don't know if she'll be so kind to let you see her foot. We can walk over here and see. So these guys are led into the national parks and stuff because of they don't leave any, let's say, bad footprints on the ground. You know what I mean? They don't leave anything bad behind. So their feet are, they have a soft padded foot with the two nails, and we would just trim their toenails. Just like you would trim your nails, we would trim their nails on here. And we do have to trim their nails. Most of them are good about it. We grab their leg and tell them foot, and they know that we're about to pick up their foot and we're going to trim their nail. But we do have a chute to put them in to keep everyone safe. She's super chill, so she lets us walk behind her. These guys are they are prey animals. So if you look at her and you see her eyes are on the side, so how you know the difference of prey and predator. So her eyes are on the side. So if eyes are in the front, think of us, think of a cat, think of a dog. The eyes are in the front, they hunt. Eyes on the side, they hide. So she is definitely a prey animal. So their prey in the wild would be mountain lions. I even saw clouded leopards, jaguar. I mean, such a variety. Humans are a big one too, because humans actually in South America, just like us, we eat deer and other things here. They're very resourceful. They would eat the meat. They would use the leather, the hide for leather. They would make garments with the fiber on them. They use the whole animal. They even use the poop for fuel. I've known several people have gone on treks to South America, and when you get high up there, there's no wood. There's nothing to burn. And so you burn llama poop. That is your form of your fire.
Thank you for watching, Danny. Thank you for watching, Rebecca. Rebecca didn't catch what the difference between a llama and alpaca is.
An alpaca. So alpaca is a much smaller animal. Their main purpose would just be for fiber. A llama is a much bigger animal. Their purpose is, one in Texas is like people say, what do you do with a llama in Texas? They are fantastic livestock guardians. So if you have sheep or goats, even cattle, you can have llamas in there, and they can kill up to 5 or 6, let's say, coyotes or dogs. So what they would do, they would stomp them with their foot, just like camels, because they're in that same family. They have a breastplate between their legs, so it's really, it's a hard callus space. So they start like basically pounding them into the ground with their chest. The males have fighting teeth that are super sharp. They have 3 sets. So they have 2 lower and 1 upper. And they can rip and they can do horrible things because, like I said, we board these guys in the summer, and one of the requirements is trimming the fighting teeth. And if not, what happens, you come back and you have llamas that it looks like instead of one long ear like she has, they have a split ear. It's like the llama boys play really hard and they will split their friends' ears. So no, awesome livestock guardians. Also, they are pack animals. So you cannot ride a llama. Their backs are cartilage. You cannot put a saddle on them and ride them. They can't handle that. But what they are fantastic is packing. So a lot of times you see pictures of llamas in South America that have packs on them, so the weight's dispersed. So they can carry a lot of weight on them. I think it's like 20 to 30% of their body weight they can pack out evenly into 2 packs on each side of their body. But if you do overpack them, they will stop. They won't move. They're done.
So thank you, Ruby, for tuning in. She would like to know, how much does Precious right here weigh?
She weighs about 210. She has a lot of hair, a lot of fiber.
Thank you, Abby, for tuning in. Yes, the next door neighbor's dog has no idea how lucky he is. There's a fence there between him and this llama. It is not the llama would have to watch out. Enjoying that delicious grass.
So Precious was born here. So that's how I know she's 15 years old. She's super sweet, has an awesome disposition. Llamas are super smart. They're very trainable. We do not do any agility with ours. So agility is training. When we used to show them, they would have it where they set up a course, and they would have to walk over a bridge or between chairs, or they'd have different ones where you would be like out in a public setting. So like if all of a sudden someone popped up in an umbrella, they wouldn't be startled, or walk by a big bunch of balloons. So they have all different things, but llamas are super sociable. They are herd animals, so they like to be with other animals. If you have one, hopefully have goats or some other companion to live with it.
So Amber has a question. Thank you for tuning in, Amber. She would like to know what would prompt a llama right here to spit. What would make them want to spit at something?
She would spit. Let's say we went over and got a big thing of grain, a big bucket of grain, and she's over here eating out of the bucket, and then all the other girls come over and they don't want to share, so they'll spit at the other llamas to make them go away.
Okay, and Danny has a question. What are their natural predators in the wild?
So natural predator would be humans, mountain lions. I read clouded leopards, which I thought was interesting. It could be, it's just the cats that live in South America.
Amber,
and humans.
Oh, yeah. And Amber would like to know a little bit more about their behaviors. Like interesting, unique behaviors that llamas have.
So the llamas, okay, they're funny. So they do kind of move in a group. They move in a herd from place to place. Like right now is the time of day where they're back out in the sunshine. Earlier they were in the shade. They stay together. They, like I said earlier, they're prey animals. So from afar, they might see something like a shadow. So let's say one time they came back from Colorado and we had our water buffalo. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's a scary thing. What is it? And so they would move in this little pod all around the pasture because this big scary thing was coming their way, where Buffy the water buffalo just wanted to be their friend, and they thought it was the scariest thing. They do make sounds. They make an alarm call. So it's a really high-pitched sound. You can actually just Google llama alarm call and you'll hear this sound. So if there's ever a dog in here, a predator, let's say an animal that they're not used to seeing, they will make these loud alarm calls, letting all the other llamas that there's something up and be concerned. They're pretty much down for the night. Other thing, like when we drive them to Colorado, they're not like horses where they're in a horse trailer tied off and they stand, and it's about a 16-hour drive to Colorado. Llamas, as soon as you start moving, you have a stock trailer to begin with, so it's just an open space. We do have the boys and girls separated, but as soon as you start moving, they sit down. So sitting down is called cush. When you first saw her, she was in that sitting down position, and so that's called cush. So I have a few shout outs today. One, Candace, I am sorry I did not see it until yesterday afternoon. I cannot thank you enough for your amazing monetary donation. That was so thoughtful and very, very generous of you. Also, men came through because I was like telling the other girl keepers yesterday, it's like, gosh, we need produce, or we need stuff. And it's like, you don't want to call men because she just comes and brings stuff whenever it's available. But yesterday afternoon, she probably brought us 30 pounds of grapes. So you can imagine, how much grapes are at the store. We go through tons of grapes with the bears and all the primates and stuff. But men, thank you again for all your produce that you're able to procure from a particular store. And then also Katie came yesterday with some amazing cereals. Like I'd mentioned in my recycle and donate list, some were open boxes and some were fresh boxes, but all the same. The bears loved it. The monkeys loved the granola that they had this morning with their sprinkled on their peanut butter. Again, I really appreciate it. And if y'all want to help us in any way during this time, you can go to our website. On the homepage, on the left side, there's a green bar. Click on it, and it has different ways you can help us, whether it be produce or a monetary donation via PayPal, Venmo, or GoFundMe. And then I know, like myself, I don't always like to give money because I'm not sure what people do with money. but I have no problem going out buying stuff for people. But also the biggest place we go to as far as getting stuff for our animals is Aldi and Sprouts, because Sprouts is generous and gives us a discount for when we buy produce for our animals there. So any of that is much, much appreciated. And I appreciate you guys watching us every day.
Yes, Denise would like to know what else can be donated besides apples, grapes, and toilet paper rolls.
I'll re-put the list out there, so it can be pretty much any kind of produce. I mean, the biggest things we go through if you're into the produce scene is any type of collards, mustard, kale, romaine. That's what we go through green-wise. We go through lots of that because someone just donated 2 weeks ago 8 cases of romaine. So we had like 368 heads of romaine, and we just finished those yesterday. So for us to buy romaine at $1.48 a head, it gets expensive. Oranges, bananas, so we go through tons of sweet potatoes, carrots, celery, zucchini, cucumbers. Those are our main things that we use. And eggs. We go through lots of eggs because our bears eat lots of hard-boiled eggs, and the primates eat eggs as well.
So Amber has another question. If you were to start a llama farm, what is the best way to adopt a llama?
First, you need to go get educated on llamas and taking care of llamas, because there's certain things like here, if you are going to have a llama, llamas are susceptible to something called meningeal worms. So here on our property, we have tall fences, so white-tailed deer cannot get on our property. So, but some places they do have deer that pop in and out of their property. So so what happens is, the deer poops, the snails eat the deer poo, then it has this meningeal, and the snail makes that clear smear across the grass, so the meningeal in it, the llama eats it. It's not like you give them wormer like you do for your dog. It actually it's in their spinal cord, and it will kill them. So, if you know that you have white-tailed deer, it's a maintenance thing. It's no big deal. You just give them a shot of Ivermectin every month, and they're all safe. Everyone's good. But just knowing things like that. Another awesome place to go visit that has llamas is Figment Ranch. It's in Cypress. It's off of Munchki Road. I'm not sure if they're open right now, but they're a cool place to go visit. And they have llamas that do all those cool agility things as well. And they have light wool, medium wool, heavy wool, Surrey, and I think they have alpacas too. But just educate yourself on them before you get them, because they're not an animal. Like if you have property out in the country and you think you want animals just to go throw out there, llamas are not those animals. You cannot just leave them and walk away.
All right, you guys have any more questions for Gwen on our Live on the Wildside segment with llamas?
This is a long one. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Tune in again tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another segment of Live on the Wildside. And please check out our YouTube channel, TGR Exotics Wildlife Park, and visit our website, tgrexotics.com. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.